Okay, so let's get right into it. So the first thing we're doing is we're going to prepare the sauce. So what I'm doing right now is cutting about one onion, and then we're just going to put that into one bowl, and then I'm cutting the tomatoes next, and this is just half a large tomato. If you have a small one, then you can cut one small tomato, and then you're gonna add that to the onions and keep that to the side. And next we're gonna cut the garlic, and I have about 4 or 5 cloves there. If you are a garlic lover, you can definitely add more, but this usually she'll do. And I'm gonna cut that into small pieces. I'm cutting them as small as I can get them. It's not necessary for them to be super fine, but yeah, just cut them as small as you can get them, and you're gonna add that to the tomato and the onions and keep that to the side. So next we're gonna cut the peppers. I'm using red, green, and yellow bell peppers, and we're gonna cut that into not super small pieces, but as you can see, they're about, I guess, say bite-sized pieces. And I'm just putting them all into one bowl, and I'm gonna keep those to the side as well. And adding peppers is completely optional, but I love peppers inside my lasagna, so I'm gonna put that. As you can see, it's all cut. I'm gonna keep that to the side. Now let's go ahead and start the sauce. Okay, so I went ahead and put my stove on high, and I'm just going to add the cooking oil to the pot. I'm using corn oil, but you can honestly use any type of oil you like. Sometimes I use olive oil, but I only have corn oil right now, which is why I'm using it. So I put about 3 tablespoons into the pot, and once that heats up, you're going to add your ground beef. Okay, so I'm just adding in my ground beef. Um, just gonna mix that around, make sure that's evenly spread in the pot, and then you're gonna add your onion, garlic, and tomato mixture to the ground beef. So now we're gonna add our seasonings to the mix. I'm using about 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper, a half a tablespoon of adobo, all-purpose seasoning. I'm using half a teaspoon of seasoning salt, and about another half teaspoon of onion powder and another half teaspoon of garlic powder. So the adobo and the seasoning salt both have salt in them, so I would say use accordingly. Yeah, you can adjust as to how much salt you usually like to put into your food. And you're just gonna mix that around, and then once it starts to cook and the ground beef starts to brown, you want to make sure that you're frequently mixing. So now we're gonna add some tomato paste. And this really does help the flavor of the sauce come out and taste really good. So I'm adding about a tablespoon to the pot, and you're just gonna mix that around. Yes, it's coming. It's coming. Yes, you're gonna mix that around, and it's honestly gonna make the sauce taste really, really good. So as you can see, my ground beef has started browning. So you're just gonna cover that up and make sure that everything has completely browned. Um, you want to make sure that your onions are cooking well, and that once they're translucent, like so, or semi-translucent, what you're gonna do is you're gonna add in your peppers, the peppers that we cut in the beginning. So you're gonna add those in because we don't want those to cook too much, but you want the flavors of the bell peppers to come through the sauce as well. So once you add that, you're gonna put that in, and then mix it around, and then I would say let it cook for another 5 minutes on medium heat. You're gonna cover it and let it cook for 5 minutes in medium heat, and it'll look like so. And always don't forget to frequently mix. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add some carrots, peas, and corn mixed to the sauce as well, just to get the different colors in there. It looks really good, and honestly, the little crunches of vegetables taste really good as well, or accentuate the flavor. So now we're gonna go ahead and add in the sauce. I'm using just a plain traditional ragu sauce to the mix, and once you add that in, I'm using about half of the pot. I do have a lot of ground beef in there because I'm making 2 pans of lasagna. But yeah, so you're just gonna mix that around, mix it around, and make sure the sauce is evenly mixed into the ground beef mixture. And then once you're finished mixing, you're gonna put the cover back on the pot and put the stove on simmer. So you're gonna let that simmer for about 5 minutes. Okay, so I think it's good to go. Look at that. You can see that it's done by the oil that has risen to the top, and I tasted it, and it was bomb. So now that our sauce is done, I'm just gonna cover that up and keep it to the side, and then we're gonna get ready to start layering. So you're gonna preheat your oven to 350 degrees. My lasagna is almost done boiling, so I'm just gonna drain that and then get it ready to start layering. Okay, so now we're gonna start layering. The best part. So what I've done is I've already cut my lasagna pieces into smaller pieces so that they can fit into my pan. But if you're using a larger pan, you can skip that step and then just go straight to layering. So the first layer is gonna be the lasagna, and as you can see, I've used 4 pieces of lasagna, and then you're gonna use ground beef to top that, and then the third layer we're going to use is cheese. I'm using 5 cheese Italian and also mozzarella cheese. So I'm just going to be mixing both of those cheeses into each of my layers. So I'm just sprinkling some of the mozzarella first, and then I'm going to sprinkle some of the five cheese Italian. So we're going to go ahead and do our next layer, and I'm just going to repeat the same process. So again, it's 4 strips of lasagna, and if you have a larger pot, then you just use more pieces of lasagna, and if you have a smaller pot, you can just adjust so that it all fits into the pan. And I've used the cheese again, and then this is my third layer. And this is my last and final layer. About 4 layers fits into this type of pan. So that's all I'm gonna use. And again, I'm mixing the cheeses, and it looks so good already. Okay, so now it's ready to be popped into the oven. So we're gonna pop that into our preheated oven for 30 minutes at 350 degrees until all the cheese has melted on the top. Okay, so it's all done. Look at that. So I sprinkled some parsley on top of it, just to top it off, and it gives it that little kick at the end when you're eating it. And it tasted so good, y'all. I wish you guys could taste this. And as you can see, it was super, super easy to make. Yeah, and tastes really good. So I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and please stay tuned for more videos from Jay's Kitchen. Thank you for watching.